Joining us today is Dennis Campbell. He is editor-in-chief of UK Progressive Magazine, also host of Worldview with Dennis Campbell on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/worldview show to subscribe free and not miss any videos. Dennis, let's talk first about what's going on in Turkey. Give us a sense of kind of broadly speaking what the situation is there.
Well, there's still unrest today. I believe this is the fifth day of unrest in Turkey, and the sides are a bit in a lull situation right now. Not quite as much going on, not quite as fierce the fighting. What has started all this was a plan by the Erdogan government, the prime minister there, to demolish a public park. And the Turkish people place a very high premium on open spaces and trees and open areas. And this public park has become sort of a central theme for a lot of different things because they want to replace it with a shopping mall. And, the old song, "Take Paradise and Put Up a Parking Lot," probably applies. But it's a symbol of the general state of unrest throughout the Middle East right now. Turkey does border Syria to the south, and of course all of the unrest there with refugees streaming into Turkey as well as into Jordan and other places, the multi-number of countries that are tossing around what's left of that country, and how the president Bashar al-Assad is still in power. It's just a very nasty situation, and it's not improving at all.
So compare and contrast, I guess, is the question. Sounds almost like a middle school essay question. What is your sense of how this situation compares to the uprising in Egypt that you observed so closely?
Well, in Egypt, you had a group of students that, 10 years on had decided they'd had enough of Mubarak. And in the course of 18 days, they kept protesting and kept moving forward. This was on the heels of Tunisia, which had gotten rid of a brutal dictator. So if you are a brutal dictator, you're in trouble. Now, the difference here is that Turkey has always been considered somewhat more moderate. Their whole governing system, Prime Minister Erdogan is considered a moderate. But what we're having in this sort of a situation is a lot of disenfranchised people are really coming out very, very strongly. Some 1,700 people have been imprisoned. That it appears that there is maybe not quite as bad as what was in Egypt. There is a secret police force and prison system that people are protesting against, and this does not seem to be going away.
So, Dennis, what can we expect kind of in the next week or two to happen in Turkey?
Well, that's the big question right now. We have this rule that if the prime minister, or in the case of Mubarak, or even going all the way back to Ben Ali, if they make three speeches, they're out. Huh. So generally speaking, they come forward and they'll give some sort of a speech. Now, the only thing the prime minister has said is that Twitter is a menace to society, but he's not really come out and made a formal speech or talk. They normally come out, they try to placate the demonstrators. They normally come out and they say, yes, we see your point, you have been wronged. But then they typically do that when state television is down and there's not a lot of people around to watch it. Then they usually come back with a more defiant second speech in which they say but they do promise that those who have perpetrated these crimes will be caught and will be brought to justice. And usually the third speech is the one in which they announce their resignation. Now that's the far end of the spectrum. In all likelihood, it's going to settle down a little bit. I think the smartest thing for Erdogan and his group to do is to back away a bit from this proposed shopping mall project and let tempers simmer down a bit, because this one has become sort of a cause célèbre for everything that is wrong inside the country. And when you have a lightning rod like that, you want to make certain that you step back away from it. However, this is the Middle East. And when you're in the Middle East and Persia, the tendency to back away from anything and to do what we would consider to be the smart or the right thing to do is absolutely not done. So who knows what's going to happen in the next week?
Last thing I want to quickly touch on is now, although for different reasons, we've had Turkey, and of course we've spoken with you about Egypt, and you talked about Tunisia, and we've talked about so many other cases. Do you get the sense that we're entering kind of a new era in terms of how these types of uprisings can happen, maybe because, or at least in part, connected with social media? Or is it just a coincidence that we've seen a number of these over the last few years?
Well, the raging debate has been over Egypt, and of course, hindsight is always 2020. And would the uprising have happened without Twitter or without Facebook? And the answer is yes. Everybody in Egypt knew to go to Tahrir Square. That's the place where everybody tries to go for major demonstrations, things of that sort. Everybody in this case knows where to go or to try to go, and that's this public park that they're intending to turn into a shopping mall. Twitter is a great not a diagnostic, but an organizing tool. It's a tool that you can use for operations, for moving people from place to place. But governments are getting much smarter now, and there are new codes in the HTTP and the setup. I think we're up to HTTP 9 now. There are pieces of that are being put in there that are going to allow governments to actually shut the internet down. And we've seen that in Syria, where Bashar al-Assad has literally created the internet whenever it's been convenient. That's going to happen more and more as we go forward. We had a guy from Hong Kong on our show several times. His name is John Jackson, and he talks a little bit about security and how to keep things like this going in the Tor system and all those other things. So it's becoming an issue, but they're also getting smarter, having learned from what happened to Mubarak in Egypt.
All right, Dennis Campbell, we're going to continue following it. Go to youtube.com/worldview show. Make sure you are getting Dennis's show, and also youtube.com/bookviewtv. Dennis, thanks as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.